Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. I'm going to be sharing with you a card that we actually made in last week's Christmas card class. And the stamp set that we are using is Leaves of Holly, which is a part of the Boughs of Holly Suite, which is in the new mini catalogue. So as a part of this suite, let me just share this with you. You get the stamp set. You also can get a set of coordinating dies, which is always really nice to have that bit of coordination. You also get some of the natural woven ribbon. There are some of these texture elements, which are like a chipboard, and also Boughs of Holly Designer Series paper. So the things we're using today from this suite will be the Designer Series paper and the stamp set. Hi Angelica, thank you for joining me. So with this stamp set, so Angelica, you'll find this is familiar. You actually made this the other night, but it's such a great card, so I want to make it again to share with everybody. It's actually quite an easy card to make. So you only need sort of your basic supplies and one stamp set, which is really great. Hello to Fiona and also Simone. Thank you for joining me. So just before I get started, I just want to share with you a little bit more detail, the Boughs of Holly Designer Series paper. So they are really pretty papers. And of course, as always, they are double-sided. So they've got lots of the reds, the green tones. There's also some Sahara Sand, which is quite a neutral colour, which you can use, which is sort of a, let me show you this one, which the background there is Sahara Sand. And it does work really nicely with anything. It's part of the neutrals colour collection, so it does work really nicely. And also you have your poinsettias. Now what I want to show you, this piece is a little bit bigger. With this Designer Series paper, you can of course use this as a background or a feature on your card, but you can also cut out these individual poinsettias and use them as a feature on your card. Okay, let me flip over and show you the other side. So the other side has just got a little bit more of the red-green tones with a bit more sort of neutral sort of patterns. And I do use with these, or tend to use both sides of the Designer Series paper on different projects. So that one just has sort of a marble sort of effect on that. And again, just a very neutral sort of pattern. So hello also to Rails and Marita. Yeah, the papers are absolutely beautiful. I need to order some more because I'm almost through the first packet. Okay, so the card I want to share with you is this one here, and it is a slightly different opening on it. There's a score line down here and opens just like that. So let me hold it that way. So gives you a bit better idea of how that looks. So for those who came to last week's class, this is very familiar. You would have already made this one, but as I mentioned, I think it's a really great card to share, which is why I'm going to share it with you tonight. And also to show you how quick and easy it is to create this slightly different folding card. So I have, to begin with, just my piece of A4 cardstock, which I've cut in half. And I have cut that lengthways. Okay, so to begin with, as always, I'm going to fold my card in half. And of course, if you would normally do your score line, you would do that too. And then, so I know where to do my next fold, I'm going to bring my paper trimmer in. And my score line, or where I've just done my fold, I'm going to place that on the 3 centimetre mark. So there's my fold there, and 3 centimetre mark. And then remember, on the paper trimmer, the lighter brown or grey is your scoring tool. If you actually use the dark one, you're going to cut your card front off. So that's all we need the paper trimmer for the moment. And then So I've got my fold, and then you can see that 3 centimetre. And then just to get my fold there, that's how that is going to look. Hi Leslie, thanks for joining me. Okay, so that is that bit done. Let me just grab the rest of these bits and pieces out. Don't need the envelope. So I'm also using some champagne rhinestones. They just have that touch of gold to them. Well, not quite gold, are they, when they're champagne, but they do work with this project. I've also cut 2 pieces of that really pretty shimmery gold ribbon. And out of the set of dies that we have as a part of this suite, let me just show you here. I've just cut, using the gold foil cardstock, a couple of those just to add a little bit more of a highlight. And I've also got my scalloped stitched rectangle, which is from Contours and something. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but that might be something that someone could look up for me, is what die set this belongs to it. It's one, I should know the name of it because it's actually one that I use quite a bit because I actually love these scalloped rectangles. Okay, so for the inside and outside, I've cut 2 pieces of white which are the same size, and I've also got my pieces of designer series paper as well. So the first bit I'm going to show you is this section here, and I'm just going to use, you could use, as always, as I always say, you can use whichever adhesive you use for your card making. I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal. And that will just mat onto that piece of white about there. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick this onto the card front. Which will fit really nicely in that little panel that we have created. Now, I am going to be putting adhesive on this section here, which is between my center fold line and also the score line that I did. Scallop Contours, thank you, Leslie. I knew that someone would know the name of that. So that's really great. So I'm going to put my piece of ribbon onto the card front. And the reason I haven't stuck this bit down here is because I want my ribbon to tuck into there. So just to hold that in place, of course, you can put some double-sided tape or a glue dot underneath your ribbon if you want to hold it in place. I'm just going to use a little bit of sticky tape. Or you could use double-sided tape. As I always say, use whatever adhesives you like to use. So I've just stuck that in place with some sticky tape. And I want this is going to have just a little bit of pressure on it. So I've actually got some of the tear and tape. So this looks very similar to some of the other double-sided tapes you can get, but this one is quite a bit stronger. These do come in a little plastic Ziploc bag, but I find over time mine get a bit dirty and I end up throwing the bags out. What I do, let's see if I can get that to focus. Just here on the inside, I just write tear and tape. That way I can tell this tape apart from the other double-sided tape. Okay, so this is a little bit stronger, this tape. So I'm just going to put 2 strips of that, which will also help hold it nice and flat each side of the ribbon. And I haven't had much success, even though they say you can tear this tape. I found that it just picks up that top layer of the cardstock when I'm trying to tear it off. So I'll just use scissors for that, but let me show you. It's really super easy to tear this tape. So it just has that ordinary paper backing on it. I don't know, some of you might remember when we had the sticky strip which had that red tape, and of course there was no way of tearing that. That was always a job with the scissors. Now with these tapes, they're all pressure sensitive. If you can't get the paper up really easily, just run your finger along it and that will happen really, really easily. Okay, so that then has now created that fold. Okay, so next little bit, I've got my piece of white to mat onto the front, so I'm going to just stick that one straight down. Actually, and also I'll do the piece of the designer series paper. Yeah, the sticky strip was I forever had those little bits of the sticky strip because I got so much static to them. I had those throughout my house at one point. Now I just have the backs of dimensionals. But yeah, that was one of the adhesives that I really loved, was sticky strip. It was always so good to use. Okay, and then this will go onto my card front. So far I actually haven't used any dimensionals on this card, but I will be. And before I go too much further, I'm going to do my stamping. So I've got my stamping, the Christmas wishes on the front, and then on the inside I've just got the from our home to yours. So I'm using Real Red. So with this paper there is Real Red and also Poppy Parade, so you could do the Poppy Parade as well. But Real Red tends to be my go-to for Christmas. Okay, so just before being photopolymer, I do have my piecing mat with me, which this one's got quite a few holes, so of course you can use it for piecing, but they're also great to use when you're stamping with your photopolymer stamp sets. So the Stamp and Pierce mat is on page 149 of the catalogue and costs $8.75. So it's one of those tools that is well worth having, and it's really reasonably priced. Okay, so I've got Christmas wishes just in the corner, and then for the inside I'll finish that off. And of course you can stamp this other sentiment in the middle, but I wanted to stamp reasonably straight, so I needed a straight edge. Stamp set. The stamp set, Leslie, that this all came from is Leaves of Holly, which is a part of the Boughs of Holly Suite in the mini catalogue, which is on page 24 and 25 of the mini catalogue. So there are some samples there. So it's a really nice stamp set. I've used a stamp set quite a few times now, and the dies are really lovely as well. Okay, so that is where the sentiments have come from. And of course on this sort of card you could use any Christmas sentiments that you might have. So that is the only stamping that we're going to be doing on this card. So to attach this, I'm going to use some dimensionals. And I do also have my Take Your Pick tool, which I think is going to have, I'd have to say, is one of my favourite tools to have. I think because it has the different attachments, it just has a lot of versatility to it. So here's a question for you. What is your favourite Stampin' Up tool? One that you use every time you craft. And of course the other thing I really love is to get the backs off your dimensionals. There they all are there. You just have to poke into the middle with your piercing tool and it kind of keeps them a little bit more under control, but I still end up with them everywhere. And I'm going to position this in the center slightly down just to allow for my little bit of extra decoration. Yeah, the trimmer is amazing. I think the Stampin' Up trimmer is one of the best that that I've ever used. Okay, so here is my poinsettia image, which I've cut from the pattern paper. So you have singles and doubles in this paper. So this one just happens to be a single. There isn't a die to cut that out, but it actually doesn't take all that long to do your bit of fussy cutting. So that is going to sit around about there, and I'm going to put a few dimensionals behind that as well. And then my little gold, I guess they're sort of not really leaves, they've got little stalks on them. No, maybe they're leaves, depending on, I don't know. I'm going to call them leaves because I'm not sure what else to call them. So I've just got a few dimensionals more in the middle. And as I mentioned, just stab your covers of the dimensional and pick them all up on your tool. Yeah, the paper trimmer and the scoring board. I don't use my scoring board a lot, but if I'm scoring bases and I'm doing lots of them, I do. Yeah, so trimmer seems to be one of those really popular type tools. So that goes on, and then I'm going to be sliding. Let me put it the other way. My little, I'm not sure what I call these. I don't know. Are they leaves? I'm not sure. Someone might have a bit better idea on what to call those. And I'm going to be using, to stick those down, just a glue dot. Oh, thanks, Leslie, but the idea with the take your pick tool is not mine. I did see that somewhere. So I've got my little glue dot just there. So that will just press onto the back, and then you'll pick up and have your little glue dot. There we go, just there. That goes under, and do the exact same thing with the other one as well. So just adds a hint of gold. I think I have shared this before, but I find that having that ribbon just tied around the end and or tied around my roll of glue dots, I find that then it doesn't come undone in the box and you don't lose any of your glue dots. And also that way your glue dots are all covered. I think this is an older roll because I've actually still got my glue dots on the inside of the roll, which is just there. The newer packets of glue dots have the dot on this part here. So, but I think having the ribbon tied around it is still going to work the same way. Okay, so I'm just going to put the cap onto the take your pick tool, and I do have my little rhinestones here, and I'm going to be using the putty end to pick those up. So that is just after a bit of practice and some advice from other people. It is just being gentle and sliding them off using the putty tool tip. Okay, when this putty gets a bit dry or a bit dirty, you just need to very gently screw that in just a little bit tighter, and then give it a moment, and then the putty will start to ooze out. And the great thing is you can buy replacement putty tips on their own. I think can't think of the price off the top of my head, but I know you get them in packs of 2. Okay, so the final thing I need to do is, well, actually 2 things. I just need to stick my piece of white cardstock in the middle. And I need to do my bow as well. Branches, yep. Branches, twigs, yeah, I think I'll go with those. I knew someone would have a better way to describe them. Okay, and finally I just need to tie my bow, and of course, like all of our Stampin' Up ribbons, there isn't a right or wrong side, so both sides of the ribbon looks the same, which is really nice. And then it's just adjusting your ribbon or your bow until you're happy with how that's looking. And also decide which side you like the look of better. And again, a glue dot just in the middle of the bow. Actually, I'm going to put, I think, a glue dot underneath my ribbon just to hold that in place just a little bit more. That will do. And then, oops, sticking to everything. And then the ribbon and a pair of scissors just to trim up those little tails. So with the Designer Series paper, it takes a lot of the hard work out of creating really nice cards. So that is the card for tonight. Now I'm offering something that I haven't actually offered before. So if you really like the look of this card that I've just made, I am going to be selling the kits to make this card. So it's going to be $8 per kit, which does include the cost of postage to you. You will get all of the products that you need. So all of the cardstock paper, the embellishments, ribbon, and also the die cuts that you need to create this card. What you will need to provide are your basic tools, your adhesives, a real red ink pad, and also your sentiment. If you'd like the same as what I'm using, I can help you with that as well, which is the Leaves of Holly stamp set. Okay, so this kit is going to be available for a couple of weeks, and if you'd like more than one kit, you're welcome to order more. So to place an order for these kits, please just message me and then I will get in contact with you to get details, payment, get you payment details, etc. So as I mentioned, the only extra products you will need is your basic tools, adhesives, your paper trimmer or your scoreboard, real red ink pad and a Christmas sentiment. So that is, there we go, the cards there. The kits are available to purchase for $8 each, which they will be sent directly to your home. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you like this this card. As you can see, I have actually used different poinsettias in them, but of course it's from the same piece of paper. And I will put a reminder up about purchasing the card kit to make this card as well, because it's a really great one. And I'm sure everyone would love getting a card like that for Christmas. Thank you, Angelica. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching me put this card together. It is a really, really great one, and quite simple as well. And I think the papers make a massive difference to all of our card making. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to be back next week, same time, 8 o'clock Tuesday. Maybe some more mini catalogue stuff, or perhaps some of the stuff from World Card Making Day, which is this Saturday. So I do have an event happening on Saturday. The details are on my page, so have a scroll through and please RSVP by tomorrow for that class. So thanks so much, everyone. I hope you have a great night and I will talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.